Alright, so, hi. You might have noticed that the background is now different. That's because this is a discussion video and isn't necessarily, like a tutorial video. So, I don't really need to show my hands, so, might as well let more natural light in and make, hopefully, the frame less dark. So, yeah. So, this is a discussion video basically detailing how I learn and practice sleights. You don't have to follow this to a T. I mean, everybody learns different. Some might be more visual learners, some might be more like hands-on, some might be listening might be better, tasting. I don't know what you would taste, but I'm kind of concerned if you do that, so but anyways, yeah, so this is how I personally learn how to learn sleights and practice them. You don't have to follow this because, again, everybody learns different. But, if you get something out of this, great, right? I mean, if you don't, then boo-hoo. I mean, if you don't, then, that's fine. Everyone has their own method, so I don't mind. But basically, I thought about making this video because, why not? I think it's just fun for me myself to document how I learn things, and maybe people might get something out of it because they might not have put much thought into it, which is a weird thing to say because practice is something you do pretty much unconsciously. But yeah, anyways, I'm going off topic, tangents, am I right? But yeah. So, step one is that I want to fully understand the core mechanics of the sleight. So this doesn't necessarily have to be me practicing, it's just me, it's just me reading up on the sleight that I want to learn and all its mechanics, right? So if I'm watching a video, then I pay attention, or if I read something, then I just make sure to read everything and it's all good, right? So step two is that I want to practice just the core mechanics of the move, right? I just want to make sure that it doesn't feel out of place when I try to add more details in, right? So I just get down the core mechanics of the move, and that is basically step number two, right? I get down the core mechanics, it feels comfortable in my hand, then I move on to step number three. So step number three is that I cross-reference what I currently have now with the description of the move, right, in the video or like in a book, right, just to make sure that nothing's amiss, because obviously practice makes consistency, right? It doesn't make perfection. So if you practice something perfectly bad, then it'll end up consistently bad, right? It doesn't end up perfect, right? So I think that's a Richard Turner thing. I might need to look that up, but I believe it's a Richard Turner thing. So anyways, step three is that after I'm done understanding all the core mechanics, getting them down, I add on details to make sure that nothing's amiss, and then I can safely proceed onto making the move perfect, you could say. Step four for me is I want to just understand the move, right? I want to understand what it basically is at the core, what it can do, what it can't do, right? So just a very basic example of this is the double lift, right? If you have the double lift over here, right, what is this, right? It's a double lift. It's basically taking a card, two cards actually, and showing them as one. But that's not really what a double lift is, right? At the core of it all, a double lift is a switch, right? You're switching this card for this card, right? So it is a switch, right? The double lift is a switch. So I want to understand the nature of the move before actually proceeding with anything else, right? So step four is oh my god. So step five, I mean, I don't know my numbers apparently, even though I'm Asian. I'm gonna get disowned for that, but So step four is that I practice the move, knowing full well of its limitations and its applications. So then I can just you know, safely see what it can do and it can't do, right? After understanding the move, I want to confirm my suspicions, basically, with hands-on experience. Step 6 is that I want to play around with the move, right? So for example, a double lift, right? If it is, okay, so it's a switch, right? So if it's a switch, then what can it do? Well, you're switching 2 cards around. Does that mean you could basically make it into a vanish? Technically, yeah, right? So you have, you know, your 8 of hearts, right? And then snap, it's suddenly gone, right? It suddenly became the 7 of, it's gone from the top of the deck, right? Or if you want a non-visual color change, then, you know, you can have your 7 of spades and then suddenly changes into a king of diamonds, right? So that's basically what step 6 is about, right? Play around with the move, try to break up the timing of the move. So again, with the double lift, so you don't need to go straight from a push off into a Stuart Gordon. What you can do is that you can go into the push off, talk a bit, and then just go into the Stuart Gordon. So break up the timings, play around with them, and obviously play around with the angles, the pressure of a move. For example, a one-handed top palm, what if you use a different finger aside from the pinky, right? That's what Glenn Morphew did with his one-handed top palm. And obviously, you know, just see what you can get out of it. After all, you did get all the basic mechanics down, so you might as well play around with it. Step 7 is that I find moves of similar nature and then I cross-reference both moves together, right? So let's take, for example, the soft double, right? I taught this earlier on my channel. You can go check it out. So, crap. But the soft double is by Roger Klaus. So you can see that it is this really gentle double lift, double push off. But it's also somewhat similar in appearances only, and mechanics is completely different. It's actually somewhat similar in appearance to the Vernon push-off, I mean. So what can you get out of these two if you cross-reference them? What if I change the grip a bit based on this other move, right? So I cross-reference moves just to see if I can get anything out of, you know, combining, basically taking one part from this move onto the next, right? So just Frankensteining moves together and see just if I can get something out of it, right? Because that's how everything starts. So yeah, and who knows, you might get a completely new move out of it. I don't know, right? But honestly, I wouldn't get my hopes up because, you know, basically nothing is original at this point. So don't go into this too hopeful of creating a new move, right? I'd rather like you constantly seeking out to improve something rather than constantly trying to seek out something new. And then the final step, so step 8, is that I want you to do step 1 to 7 all the way again. So, you know, just repeat and expand your circle of knowledge, because, you know, knowledge is power, and, you know, we're magicians. We might as well find something to do. I'm gonna get canceled for that because that's not what magicians do. But, you know, just expand your circle of knowledge, right? With so the best way to know what to learn next is that from step 7, right, you cross-reference there with another move, then you might as well do that and repeat 1 to 7. So, you know, just continuously build your knowledge up until you are I don't know, all-knowing. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but just to recap all 8 steps is: 1 is understand the core mechanics of the move, 2 is be familiar with the core mechanics of the move, 3 is cross-reference the move with the official description just to make sure that you have all the details down, and add more details later on. I mean, yeah. Step 4 is that I want to understand, right, what the move is and what it can do, what it can't do. Step 5 is that I want to practice the move in while understanding those limitations. Step 6 is that I want to play around with the move to see what I get out of it. Step 7 is finding moves of similar nature to see, just cross-referencing them with one another, and yeah. Step 8 is repeating steps 1 to 7 and seeing just what I can get out of it, right? And then obviously I do have a few extra steps that I can provide you that I don't really have a place for these. They're just afterthoughts basically. But so one of the extra steps would be practicing the move in their most difficult setting, right? So if you don't know, a lot of magicians like Shane Cobalt actually practice moves in their most difficult setting, just so then everything else, right, is really easy, right? So for example, if I practice like a zero shuffle without a close-up pad, then there are different, then it's gonna be much harder, right? But because it is much harder, I'm used to that, then everything else after that, right? So if I ever have a close-up pad, then that'll be easy, right? Because I practiced it in its hardest difficulty. And then the last extra step, I just wrote 2, right? The last extra step is that write everything down in a notebook, right? So I do indeed have things written down in a notebook. This is just one of them. So what the notebook allows you to do is to document your progress, your thoughts, what you came up with the move, all the details, right? So over time you will forget some stuff, and you might have to relearn some stuff. So why not document it in a notebook, so then you don't have to actively search out for sources again, right? So for example, and a notebook doesn't have to be always like all original stuff. It can be stuff that you learned, right? So for example, I have a section in my notebook dedicated to a move in Often Rarely That Simple, because I wanted to break it down a bit more in bullet points. So that's what I did, right? Just to facilitate my reading comprehension. So, a notebook is a really powerful stuff if you just need to find time to write about it. But I think over time it'll be worth it because you're documenting everything, and that is pretty ideal. But besides that, I think that is it for how I learn and practice sleights. If you go to my Patreon, I'll have everything written down in bullet points, so you could digest that easier. You don't have to listen to this like 14-minute long video, probably 13, maybe it's probably approaching 14 at this point, but I'll have like everything listed down in bullet points so then you could more easily digest it. So yeah, that's basically it. Let me know down in the comments below, or whatever YouTubers say, how you practice sleights, and maybe you could help your other magicians on how you practice sleights as well. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but might as well go check out the free Patreon written essay down in the comments below if you want to have like just the written essay. You can screenshot it if you want. I don't really care, it's public anyways. So yeah, so that's about it. Hope to see you guys next time. I'm gonna go record like 2 more videos because I haven't recorded in a while, as you can see from my hair. So that dictates the timeline. So yep, anyways, yeah, that's about it. See you guys next week for Patreon, and in 2 weeks for YouTube. So bye.